All right, guys, this is the introduction to statistics. Now, in this video, we're just going to introduce what statistics is, the types of data we have, and then we're going to answer a few questions based on the type of data that we have. What is statistics? Well, besides being that annoying math class that students think they have to take, statistics is the branch of mathematics that involves collecting, organizing, summarizing, and presenting data. And you're using all that to draw general conclusions from the data. The purpose of statistics is to take a sample of people or a sample of subjects that has a good representation of a population under study and use the results to apply it to the overall population. We're going to focus more on samples and populations in the next video, but we're going to look at statistics first. There are two branches of statistics. It is called as descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. And each branch is important to understanding what is being asked of you. Now, statistical techniques used to describe data are called descriptive statistics. That is descriptions. Descriptive statistics involves the collecting, organizing, summarizing, and presentation of your data. When we're using statistical techniques to make an inference, that's called inferential statistics. So that's going to be the drawing general conclusions from the data section. An inference can be called an educated guess. An educated guess is what is known as a hypothesis. And when you take Stats 250, we are going to be focusing on hypotheses in the second half of that semester. So this is educated guess. Excuse my handwriting. Let's write that a little bit better. And that is hypothesis. Okay, let's focus on data now. Well, data are measurements or observations that are gathered for an event under study. Let's erase that G and let's put capital G so we can see what's going on. Once again, data are measurements or observations that are gathered for an event under study. Well, it says measurements or observations, which means there are two types of data, qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative will be our observations, and quantitative will be our form of measurements. And we call those variables. And a variables is, once again, something that is also under study. Qualitative variables are variables that have distinct categories according to some characteristic or attribute. Well, characteristic or attribute. Let's understand what that is. Let's look at eye colors. The colors of a person's eye: green, brown, blue, hazel. Those are attributes to a person's eye color. Another example of qualitative data. It can be your year in college. Are you a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, or you're a graduate student? That is a attribute about where you stand at in terms of your education. Another example of qualitative can be if you prefer to do school in person or online. So you can prefer to be an in-person student, or you can prefer to be an online student. Or you can prefer to be both, but really a preference goes one way, leaning more to what you more desire than the other way. See, those are attributes about who you are. So those are attributes about what is under study. That's why that is qualitative. Whereas quantitative variables, those are variables that can be counted or measured. So the temperature outside, we measure the temperature. The number of credits you need to graduate, you can count how many credits you need to graduate. How much money is in your bank account? Your weight, your height, the distance it takes you to travel from home to school. Those are examples of quantitative variables. So, what we're going to do is we're going to answer question 1 right here, and then I'm going to move on to question 2. Number 1 says, determine if the following is qualitative or quantitative. And I want you guys to take a second, well, not a second, take a minute to try to answer those on your own using some of the examples that I gave, as well as the definition, and determine if the colors in the rainbow, cholesterol count, microwave wattage is either qualitative or if it's quantitative. Well, let's see what we got. Colors in the rainbow, that is qualitative. The colors in the rainbow is the characteristics of your rainbow. The colors in the rainbow are the attributes that makes up the rainbow, which is red, green, indigo, violet. I don't remember the colors in the rainbow. I'm sorry. But yes, that is qualitative. Cholesterol count for individuals, that is quantitative. Usually we find out how much cholesterol you have, your level of cholesterol, based on a blood sample. They take your blood sample, they analyze it, and then they can come up with doctors will come up with a measurement to see if you have high cholesterol or if your cholesterol is satisfactory. That is quantitative. And the last one, microwave wattage. I said outage. Microwave wattage. What is a wattage? Wattage is used to measure electricity. And because this is a measurement, that means it is also quantitative. So those are the answers to question number 1. The first one is qualitative. The second and third option is going to be quantitative. Last but not least for this video, when we're focusing on quantitative variables, specifically quantitative, there are 2 types of quantitative variables. There is discrete quantitative variables and there is continuous quantitative variables. Now, when it comes to discrete variables, they assume values that can be counted. So a discrete variable is a quantitative variable in which we count. An example of a discrete variable is the number of students that showed up to class last week. We count how many students were present. How much money did you earn last month? We count how much money we earned. How many apples are in the bag? You are counting the number of apples in the bag. The score on a basketball game, based on how many times did the players, make the basket. Trying to sound professional. How many times did the player score? Those are examples of discrete variables. Continuous variables can assume an infinite amount of values between any 2 specific values, and they are attained by measuring. Continuous quantitative variables are measurements. The height, the weight, the length of time it takes you to travel from work to school, the amount of alcohol consumption you have partaken in last weekend. Those are examples of continuous quantitative variables. So for number 2, for each variable, determine whether it is the best thought of as discrete or continuous. A, the score, either 0, 1, 2, or 3, with 0 being the worst, 3 being the best, given by a quality control manager after an equipment inspection. A score is obtained by counting. Because we are counting, that is discrete. I should have told you guys to try this on your own first. I answered the first one. Try the next 3 on your own. So pause the video and then come back to it when you get the chance. Okay. Let's see what you got for B. The number of insects feeding on a tree leaf. That is also going to be discrete because we can count the number of insects on the leaf. The amount of coffee in a cup dispensed by a coin-operated coffee machine. That is going to be continuous. Because in this case, to determine the amount of coffee in a cup, you are measuring whether if it's ounces, well, it should be ounces because gallons is way too big. You are measuring the amount of coffee that was dispensed by the coin-operated machine. And the last one is going to be the total number of goals scored by a soccer team in a season. That is continuous. We count the number of goals. We do not measure the number of goals. All right, guys, that is it when it comes to the introduction to statistics and the type of data that we have. Hope that made sense. Hope you understood it. I'll see you soon. Take care.